Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Buzzy B. Esther. In this episode, I want to talk all about my morning routine recipes that I have planned coming up in the next several weeks. And I also want to talk about the heavy metal detox smoothie, routines, habits, and medical medium recommended juicer. And finally, I want to take information out of this brain saver book, the new medical medium book he delivered yet again. And there's a lot of stuff in here from the alloy brain chapter that I did not include in my heavy metal detox smoothie series that I really would love to include in this episode. So it's a little bonus there for you guys. And so basically these breakfast options are fat-free, gluten-free, oil-free, and they're a really great way to start your day because your liver can get a chance to detox. So I hope you guys enjoy and look out for those recipes. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see that content and see what's coming out. Remember, I'm going to be doing ASMR style cooking, and also I'm going to explain what each ingredient does from Medical Medium, a Life-Changing Foods book. So keep posted. I try to put out videos every week unless I have something going on. So I hope you guys like it. Okay, so in the next 14 weeks or so, I'll be covering some potato, smoothie, and oatmeal options for a fat-free, gluten-free, dairy-free morning. So all of these are also vegan as well. So I'm going to start 7 recipes, and the first week I will have an ASMR video come out, and then the following week I'll do a voiceover of basically what's going to be on my blog with details about what each ingredient does for us, for the Life-Changing Foods book from Medical Medium. All of the recipes are overt fat-free, gluten-free, vegan, plant-based, and of course healing foods. This fits in with the fat-free mornings, which you can find a poem that I made on the link below and also on my blog. So the recipes I will post include air-fried potatoes with several seasoning options. So I actually made this recipe a little bit, so it's not a medical medium recipe, but he gave me the idea with the steamed potatoes and then you air fry or bake them for French fries. So instead of just steaming them first, I just put them in the air fryer for 20 minutes in the morning. It works really well. So I'll show you guys how I do that. Then the second option is a potato hash, which is a beautiful, it looks so pretty, the medical medium recipe. There's an aloe cooler smoothie, a banana mango spinach smoothie, melon smoothies with several options, plain fruit to go, so you can just grab some, I'll give you some options there, but plain fruit if you're low on time, you don't have enough time to make a smoothie, and then a breakfast oatmeal cookie bar. So that is also, most of these are all medical medium recipes. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the heavy metal detox smoothie. So the heavy metal detox smoothie was a staple in my routine for about a year and a half since I found medical medium. Since then, I have veered off of that track a little bit, but I still go back to it, especially when I'm feeling like I'm starting to get headaches or my acid reflux is coming back a little bit because I'm not eating well. So it's definitely still a staple in my morning routine. So I actually gave you an overview of what I do for the heavy metal detox, how it helps you, what all the ingredients do, how they help take out heavy metals. And I did a 4-video series of that on my YouTube, which include, the first video is me sitting down to explain what heavy metals are, how they get into us, why we need to get them out, and my experience with the smoothie. And then the second video is an ASMR recipe of the heavy metal detox smoothie with some captions about what some of the foods do for you. And then the last 2 videos is actually that same ASMR video, but it's a voiceover of 2 different things. So the first voiceover is talking about tips, modifications, finding ingredients for the smoothie. And the second voiceover is all about what each ingredient does. So it goes into much more depth than the captions do on the ASMR video. So that is all available for you. I'll put the links down in the description below, and that will also be on my blog. And I hope you guys check that out because they're really informative and I spent a good amount of time on them, so I hope that they can help you out. Okay, so before I continue, I want to talk about some intense reactions to the heavy metal detox smoothie. So if you have a lot of things going on and you have a lot of symptoms, then you probably have a pretty heavy pathogenic load and or toxins that are in your body. So if that's you, then you might want to take it easy with the heavy metal detox smoothie, because I started pretty much right away with the lemon water, the celery juice, the heavy metal detox smoothie every day. And I had pretty intense reactions. So it was working for me though, because it was during COVID and I was able to stay at home, so I was able to go to the bathroom whenever. If you're working and you don't have that luxury and you're in the office, then you might want to take it easy because there are some intense reactions with that. So the heavy metal detox smoothie actually started giving me heartburn at first because of the banana, like really bad heartburn with my acid reflux. So I actually changed over the banana with some mango, and that really helped me out a lot. And then when I started venturing off of the breakfast option, I realized how much the smoothie affected my bowel movements, because when I wouldn't have the smoothie and I would start with potatoes, then I didn't have to go as often. But when I had the heavy metal detox smoothie, I feel like it was just another thing, because it's basically just getting rid of all of that toxins and heavy metal which goes out through your digestive tract. So if you are having an issue with that and it's too intense, then stick with some potatoes in the morning, and that will really help ease that digestion to help heal you, because the heavy metal detox can definitely get a lot of stuff out. So in this next section, I want to talk all about routine, creating habits, my journey with trying to find things on YouTube, and also a note on the medical medium juicer. So first, I want to talk about creating habits and my cooking routine. So when I first start trying out a new recipe, it always takes me a really long time to figure it out. It takes me double the prep time because I'm, preparing things in the wrong order or doing whatever. It takes me a long time. And then I also spend a lot of time like trying to get every little tiny drop of sauces or something that I mixed up. Like if I chop up an onion, I try to get every little piece off the cutting board, and that takes more time. So cooking has really helped me adopt more of an abundance mindset, because even without getting all the little tiny pieces, the recipe still turns out great. So I don't have to worry about all those little tiny things that are in the little nooks of a bowl or, whatever, because it's still going to be a great recipe. So that whole thing with just the abundance mindset, like it really, like just getting in the kitchen and chopping up fresh fruits and veggies and eating huge gigantic meals of, big salads and different things is like, wow, there's so much that you can enjoy. And then creating my new habits and mindsets are all about routine. So there's actually a say, I don't know who made it, but the experts say that it takes at least 30 days to create a new habit and routine. So I say try something for 30 days, see if you can get it down, and then if you can get it, then that will be a habit that will be great for the rest of your life, right? Depending on what it is, because in this new book, actually, Brain Saver, medical medium talks about brain hacks and different things that they say, and how it's sometimes, heavy metals in the brain that are preventing connections from happening and preventing you from changing those things. So there's that too. But in general, when you're starting something, you want to do it for 30 days. I've seen that happen, as long as you're trying and you're making those steps, then eventually it will become a habit. So now after getting into the routines, then I don't even have to look at the recipes anymore. My heavy metal detox smoothie, I probably spent about 2 weeks looking at the recipe, and then eventually I just knew, okay, this is what it is. Basically, it's 1 banana per cup of blueberries, and then, it's the tablespoons or teaspoons of the different supplements, and a tablespoon of the Atlantic dose, and basically a handful of the cilantro. So I would measure it at first, but then after a while I realized, okay, if I put 2 fistfuls together, that's about a cup. So I have smaller hands, so that's about a cup. And then you just kind of figure it out. The more you do it, the better you get. So just get in there and start doing it. So the next section, I want to talk about how I started learning all these different things and my YouTube journey with all that. So my morning routine has evolved throughout the past couple of years. I found Medical Medium at the height of COVID, and I was staying at home, working from home, while I was kind of implementing those new things. So I was really grateful for that, because that gave me the time to really kind of implement things and get things going. Because if I was teaching regularly and, you know, with my busy schedule, I feel so tired at the end of the day, I would not probably have jumped in as fully had it not been COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm grateful for that. And it just gave me the time to really learn it and implement the things and dive deep into the information and read all the books. So that was great. Another way I like to learn is to watch it being done. So on YouTube, you know, I actually did intermittent fasting before I found Medical Medium. And I found a ton of people talking about intermittent fasting on YouTube and how they did it and what any tips and tricks they had and things like that. And then I also found, when I started Medical Medium, I started just searching Medical Medium recipes, different things like that. And there weren't many people on YouTube. So I thought that was kind of weird. But then I started looking up dairy-free, which, you know, that was #1 for my different symptoms and stuff. And I'll go into another series about like how I started this journey and like what I did first to kind of get started. But basically I looked up the symptoms that I was experiencing the most, and my endometriosis was my biggest concern. And the biggest cause for that was the hormones in dairy are basically creating a toxic environment. And there's more to that, so I'll get into that another time. But I looked up dairy-free people, and I found a ton of vegans and dairy-free people and plant-based people, and there was a ton. So I thought that was interesting. And then reading into Medical Medium, you know, he's basically the one that I think started most of those movements, and it's odd to me that people don't mention him. So I wanted to start this YouTube channel to basically mention him, #1. #2, so if you come across my information, you know where you can find all the information to heal all your symptoms. Because I'm telling you my story and I have certain things I'm dealing with. But if you're dealing with different things, you might want to implement some other protocols to help. A lot of the protocols, like some of the basic stuff, is very similar. Like there's always celery juice is going to be recommended for whatever you have. Lemon balm's pretty much for everything. Spirulina is for like pretty much everything. Heavy metal detox, there's a ton of heavy metals that people are dealing with, which is causing pretty much everything. But there's some other things that maybe you want to do depending on what you're dealing with. So Medical Medium has a ton of information. But basically, I found different people. So I found this person that was vegan. I found raw vegan channels, which is definitely akin to the 28-day cleanse from the Medical Medium original book. And again, I think it's crazy that these people probably found his information and just refused to mention it at all in their channels. Or maybe they saw someone that did it, you know, word of mouth kind of thing. I don't know. But I think it's kind of crazy. But I found a few people, and I do like their channels. I try to look, especially the raw vegans, because I haven't done the 28-day cleanse yet because I've been a little bit nervous about that one, just because I like cooked food. I don't know, I'm a little nervous about that one. So I watched those channels to try and get the courage to try and do that. But I'm not there yet. So I'm on my journey. I'm doing it step by step. So basically I started this vlogging and this information to try and help people that were in my position, you know, a couple years ago. If you're just starting out, you don't know what to do, I hope that this information can help you. By the way, it's not normal to feel aches and pains and to be tired all the time. That's not normal. I thought it was normal because, you know, that's what we're told. You get older, you start to get tired, you start to feel achy, it's just part of life. But Medical Medium says that this is caused by viruses and pathogens and toxins attacking our nerves. And that makes a lot of sense to me because I've healed so many things. Like one thing that really sticks out to me, like when before I started Medical Medium, I would wake up after doing maybe, 10,000 steps. I would wake up and my feet would feel heavy and it would hurt in the morning. And then after I did Medical Medium, I don't have that issue anymore. I can do 10,000 steps, whatever, and I'm fine. So I think that's really, really amazing that his information is so cool. And again, I want to mention him because I want people to find out where the real stuff is. And he has a huge website with pretty much everything you can think of. If you just type in medical medium plus whatever you're looking for, PCOS, allergies, whatever it is you're looking for, then he probably has an article about it. And then finally, I just want to talk about the right juicer. So from what I've said, I've found a few people, and some of them actually seem like they probably have followed medical medium or probably learned from someone who followed medical medium. And I see them using different juicers than the one he recommends. And I know that the other day on a live, he mentioned that the juicing people start to go after the medical mediums community, recommending different juicers. And his juicer that he recommends is the MM900 or the MM1500. And he mentions like the ones that spin and have all the extra parts, and they're just not as high yield as the ones that he recommends. They don't have as much of the crushing power and all that kind of stuff. And I can see what he's talking about because the one person I follow actually just put up a promotion, like an affiliate link marketing kind of thing for a different juicer, and you could tell it just kind of spun and it doesn't get all the juice out from that middle part. So I don't know, it just makes a lot of sense. So I also put a link to the juicers in the description box below. Okay, so last but not least, I want to talk about the Your Alloy Brain chapter in the Brain Saver book by Medical Medium. In this book, it is in chapter 3 for Your Alloy Brain. And in the previous chapter, he goes into detail about how your brain works. So I just want to kind of briefly say what happens there. So electricity holds information that runs through the neurons and the glial cells in the brain that make our entire body work. So I think that you need to understand that because basically there's a ton of networks and circuits going on in our brains, and that helps make everything run properly and smoothly. So heavy metals essentially break up those networks, and I'm going to go into detail about how they do that. So this chapter actually contains 25 mind-blowing pages with amazing information. And so I'm not going to be able to cover everything in these couple pages. I'm just going to summarize the basics of what I kind of took from it. So on pages 20 to 23, the first section is called The Battle in Our Brains. And in this section, he talks about how heavy metals and light metals both cause destruction in our brains, even though the detox is called heavy metal detox and things like that. So on the periodic table, and as far as like atomic weight and stuff, aluminum is actually considered a light metal, but it's still just as destructive as mercury and cadmium and all kind of other metals that are heavier. In our brains, there's actually bad and good metals, and there's a battle going on. So the bad metals are dead metals that reside in our brain from the industrial age and basically production of these metal alloys that people make. As we dig up metals and trace minerals from the earth and heat them up to make alloys and process them, they die. So this kind of reminds me of when wheat, for example, when you take it and chuck it and process it into cereal, it's basically a dead thing that you're eating. Cereal's not great for you. So same kind of thing. Processing the metals kills them. The metals in our brain are tiny particles, many times smaller than nanoparticles. And they find each other and create alloys and toxic runoff and wreak havoc on the whole system. They actually can join together too when they find each other. The heavy metals can block signals, change signals, kill neurotransmitters, and neurotransmitters are an integral part of transmitting signals. Neurotransmitters are the chemicals neurotransmitters are the cells that are responsible for producing the chemicals that help make everything work. And when they're killed, it can manifest itself in disease, symptoms, including but not limited to Tourette's, anxiety, phobias, inability to speak, and so much more. So in the next section, it's called Our Brain's Electromagnetic Field, pages 24 and 25. Medical medium and spirit of compassion basically explain that our brain's electromagnetism pulls in trace mineral metals and electrolytes in from our blood to help the brain work properly. These are the good living metals that are in that bottle with those bad toxic metals from the industrialized metals. So the electromagnetic brain also pulls those bad metals into the brain because it can't distinguish the difference between the two. These bad metals end up in our blood because the liver can be overburdened and toxic and fatty and sluggish, and that's how it basically ends up in our brain, because that stuff's not even supposed to be in our system if our liver is working properly. And that is why it's really, really important to stay fat-free in the mornings to give your liver a chance to heal. And if you can stay fat-free for the rest of the day, that's even better. The next section is another 2 pages, pages 23 and 24, how metals find us. So MM explains that the metals end up in our brain through many different avenues. We can get them through the air we breathe, what we eat, drink, bathe in, touch, or apply to our skin. Fragrances, scented candles, air fresheners, pesticides, and chemtrails can leak metals into the air that we breathe. Cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, beverages, and much more also get us to touch or ingest these metals in us. So I explain much more about that in my Heavy Metal Detox Smoothie series, because he does go into detail with that on Cleanse to Heal as well. But again, he goes into detail with it here. So that's the good thing about these books, is that if you haven't read the other books, you don't have to, because he does explain those basics and much more. So if you have read the books, I still recommend you get it because it's amazing. And if you haven't read the other books, he explains the basics too. So the next section is all about electrical heat. So I actually put 3 sections in this. Electrical heat melting down in the true meaning of our alloy brain on pages 29 to 39. So in these sections, he talks about how our brain heats up with pretty much everything we do. It's electricity. So there's actually networks too that they run on. And factory workers who have to do repetitive tasks over and over again, it's said that they actually put on music for them because it helps their brain wire different ways. That repetitive task can actually lead to burnout after a while. So if you put on that music, it gets other brain centers getting moving, and that's really interesting to me. So our brains run on different networks to prevent burnout from happening. And if we have metals blocking the way or killing off some of the brain cells, then this can be difficult. The brain ends up overheating and melting these metal particles and creating a corrosive gas. The solid metal will change into a gas when it melts, and then it can move around more freely and cause even more problems. Alloys are made when 2 metals mix, and they can create many problems. They create inflammation, and this inflammation is different than viral inflammation, which can also happen in the brain. But it's not actually viruses. It is a little bit different. It's like neurotoxins and things like that. But the alloys, inflammation, and blocking of signals can scramble our words, alter memories, alter decision-making, alter dreams, to name a few things that it can wreak havoc on. So the point is, you want to get rid of an alloy brain. You want to get rid of these bad metals by implementing a heavy metal detox smoothie. And he also has in the book, he has more protocols, and he has a heavy metal brain shot and a lot of other brain shots. I'm telling you, these brain shots, guys, are amazing. Seriously amazing. Like, I have been wanting not to eat meat as much and not to eat cheese and all the things that I crave. Like, it's really helping me kind of get over that. So these books are really awesome. Finally, we have Trace Minerals, Your Brain's Peacekeepers, and Rise Above the Machine on pages 39 to 45. So in these last 3 sections, Medical Medium basically explains how we can fight back, which is the part that I love. Like, we hear about all these problems, what do we do about it? This is what we do about it. So trace minerals are abundant in fresh fruits, vegetables, herbs, and wild foods. They are what helps keep peace in the brain. They can actually get absorbed by the bad toxic metals, and the trace minerals can deactivate and help get rid of the toxic metals. If you have too many toxic metals, though, that can go the other way, and the trace minerals start to diminish. But if you keep eating those fresh fruits and veggies and stuff, then you'll strengthen that. The sodium cluster salts and the complete electrolytes in celery are also amazing at killing those viruses and killing and deactivating those heavy metals. So we need to give our bodies fuel from these foods abundant in trace minerals and other helpful things to stay low in fat so they can process things properly. Fat inhibits nutrient absorption. So if you want the best out of everything, try to stay fat-free all day if you can, or at least until dinner. Or at least until lunch. Like if you can just do the fat-free morning, start there, and then add lunch, and then maybe add dinner. I'm not there yet. I still eat fat for sometimes lunch and mostly dinner. Finally, rising above the machine was probably my favorite part. And then basically explains that if we become the experts on our health, then we can rise above the system. Pretty much it. So the system is pretty much rigged. He talks about a classified medical system that knows about the toxic heavy metals and basically wants to keep us sick. So we feed their pockets and we feed their money by getting all the pharmaceuticals and all the things, which that makes sense to me because they always want to just slap a pill on something and mask the symptoms instead of heal the problem. And medical medium heals the problems. So by knowing what the critical truth is, that for one, toxic heavy metals are saturating our brains and we can remove them to enjoy a better quality of life, we supersede the machine. We rise above the so-called authority of our well-being so that well-being is in our own hands. We rise above the machine. So that was the last paragraph of this section on page 45. So it's just really an amazing book. I love it. And finally, the closing. So if you're worried about being lost in the books, but like if you want to buy books 8 and 9, which is Brain Saver and Brain Saver Protocols, don't worry about being lost because, again, like I said earlier, he goes through the basics. So if you have never read any of his stuff, start with these Brain Saver books because they're really, really amazing. Also, they're dirt cheap. So if you buy both of these books, I actually put the prices down. So right now, the Brain Saver is listed at $29.99 on Amazon, and the Brain Saver Protocols is listed at $26.99. Easily, a book this size, look how big this thing is. This book has, not including all the beginning stuff, 626 pages in it. And then I know there's over 1,200 pages in both of the books. So you're getting both books for less than $60. And if you were to buy these for a college class or something of that nature, you would easily spend $100, $200 on these books. So they are dirt cheap. It has amazing information. And if that's what's holding you back, you can't afford the $30, $40, $50, $57, then go to the library and get them for free, or ask your librarian, hey, have you bought these books? I'm interested in checking them out. Do it that way. So do yourself a favor, get the books somehow, some way, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So much love, God bless, and take care. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. a banana mango spinach smoothie, a banana, oh my god. And then finally, we have trace minimal